Welcome, everyone, to tonight's Girlfriend Book Club monthly discussion. I'm Shelley Emling, the executive editor of the Girlfriend newsletter. I'm also the moderator of this Girlfriend Book Club. And this month, the 112,000 of you or so chose My Friends as our September pick. And I'm so glad you did. As always, you picked a fantastic read. I think I devoured this book in about 3 days. And I know it's a favorite of many of our members of the book club. So we're so thrilled that we have best-selling author Fredrik Backman with us tonight to talk about My Friends. So welcome, Fredrik.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, thanks for joining us. I just have to ask you, this book, as I said, it was so good, so different from your other books, Anxious People and Beartown, some of your other books. Is there, I just wondered, it's so based on friendship, being a teenager, art, the sense of belonging, finding your family among your friends. I mean, did you have a group like this when you were 14? Did you have a group of friends that you've kept in touch with all these years, or anything similar to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not based on. I mean, first of all, I don't know if it's that different from my other books because I don't know what people put into that when they say that when they categorize you like that. I don't know what people put in. I don't know why people like things at all. Um, but no, but it's not based on. It's not based on real people. I've never written anything based on a real person, but it's
You
based
haven't.
on,
Okay.
but it is based on a lot of people. So it is based on a lot of people that I grew up with. You take bits and pieces here and there. It's like oranges. It takes a lot of oranges to make one glass of juice. It takes a lot of. I think it takes 20 real people to make one character.
But did you have strong friendships when you were a teenager like that?
Yeah, I did. And I think, I mean, most people do. Most people have friendships when they're teenagers that are that kind of defines you because the people that you find because you're at that age when everyone is lost, everyone is looking for something, and I think the
Right.
people that you connect to when you're on that journey, that friendship is going to be stronger for sure.
So before I did ask the book club members to send me questions to ask you, but I wanted to ask one of my own to start out with. I do always ask, was there a particular chapter or scene or character that was more challenging to write in this book, My Friends, than the others? Was there something that was a little bit more challenging for you?
No, but it was all challenging. It's all challenging all the time. I wish I could say that there was only one scene or one thing that was, but it's always the way I write. Everything is connected to something. If there is something at some point that I could take out, then it doesn't belong there to begin with because everything is connected. Everything sits together with something else. So as soon as you get through one passage of the book and you feel good about yourself, and then you find a problem in the next passage of the book, and then you have to go back and you have to fix that in 30 places in the first passage. So it was. I think that the challenging thing this time around was that I usually start with. I think I more often than not start with the humor. I start off more often with the comedic parts of a story, and then I add the drama. And this
Right.
time around, I did it the other way around.
Oh,
So the whole in the first draft, the whole now story of Ted and Louisa wasn't even there in the first draft. So in the first draft, it was only the backstory, and so the whole now story is added on when I started working on the second draft of the book. So I think that was probably the most challenging thing, that you all of a sudden you find out that maybe the story that I had intended, it doesn't work, or it isn't enough, or it's,
yeah.
in this case, it was too dark for the people who read it.
Well, I was gonna.
Just,
Yeah, I
they
saw.
did. I mean, you give it to some. you write something and you're pretty excited about it and you feel good about it. And I've been doing this for 15 years, so one would assume that I know what I'm doing at this point.
Yes.
And I felt good about myself, and I started showing the first draft to people, and no one liked it.
That's what I read.
Uh,
I saw you interviewed about that. I think it did it take you 2 years to write the first draft, or is that not accurate?
no, 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 it didn't take me 2 years. I don't know exactly how long took, but it's but I mean, it's always also it's impossible when people always ask like, how long did the book take?
You know, it's
I mean, you have, I mean, you can count the hours if you want, but that the writing time is not the thing. The thinking time is the thing.
right.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot longer to think of a book than to write it. But no, I showed the first draft to people, and absolutely no one liked it. And these are people who make money from me making books, and they still didn't want to publish it. So I had to go back and redo the whole thing, and I did. And so that was, I think, the process between the first and second draft was that was the most challenging part, to figure out an entirely new way to write a story that you thought that you knew what it was.
So did people think it was too dark? Is that right? Or
They thought it was way too dark. Yeah,
way too
yeah.
dark? Okay.
And to sum it up, they thought it was way too dark. Yeah.
So how you said the thinking part is a big part of this, obviously, for any writer. So where did what was the impetus behind this whole idea to write this book about these teenagers and show them then and then show them now? Where did that come from?
I don't know. I don't know where anything comes from. I mean, first of all, it's. I mean, everyone thought the first draft was too dark, and they were right. But I was in a dark place, and I didn't. I needed to write the darkness first. I needed to get the darkness out,
Right.
and then look at it, and then kind of add something on top of that that made the darkness more bearable and more and make it more into a. It needed to be more of a story. There needed to be more of a forward going motion, and there needed to be redemption, hope. Um, but I think the idea was basically that I wanted to write something that was I wanted to write something for you know, basically I want a lot of the book comes from between the first and second draft. Had a bit of a breakdown, had bit of a life crisis, and felt that maybe I should stop writing. Not because I don't like writing, but I don't enjoy book publishing very much.
Right.
Um, I don't enjoy that part of it at all. I felt maybe I would be a more functional human being and a better family member, and if I didn't do this weird thing for a living. Um, and between the first and second draft, what happened was that I figured that if this would be the last book that I publish,
Yeah.
which very much felt at the time that it could be, then who would I want it to be for? And I wrote the dedication page, which is to anyone who's young and wants to create something, do it. Because that's what I figured. If this is my last book, then I would want it to be for someone who's young and wants to do the thing that I've been doing for 15
Right.
years. And I wanted it to be about that, and I wanted to be about. I mean, the book is about art, but to me, it's about creativity. It's about that being in a space where you feel like I want to do something. I want to anything. I want to create something, and so that was the thing that I was looking for, uh, and then every book process is the same. You get lost a little bit, and then there's a lot of chaos, and then eventually there's a book, and you never know how that happened really. And then they ask you, "Can you do it again?" And I say, "I have no idea. We'll see."
So one of the book club members did say that they saw you speak somewhere in May and that you did indicate that this might be your last book a couple months ago. Is that still what you're thinking, or who knows
I
what?
don't know. I honestly I don't know. I've given myself the permission to not know. I don't know I mean, I'm well aware of the fact that I'm extremely privileged to get to do this, and I understand that it's a, but it's also the fact that like in the book, that there's a line in the book where this very successful artist says that he feels like fame and success to him was like he accidentally took the wrong coat in a cloakroom, and
Right.
now he's wearing someone else's dream.
Yeah.
Um, that is very much how I have felt. It was never my intention or my goal to write books so that I could talk about them on stage or do interviews
Right.
about them. That was never the goal. I, you get into the industry of something and you realize that the actual work is a very small part of what you do.
Right.
The writing part is a very small part of what you're expected to do, and I don't feel that I'm very good at the other parts. I don't feel that I enjoy them a lot. I don't like traveling.
Yeah.
I do very badly at hotels. I
Right.
don't like flying. I
So,
have
so
what
you
my
don't like
daughter
doing a press
I
tour.
I have what my daughter refers to as many issues. So it's just that I don't know. It's not going to be the last book that I write. It's just that I don't know how I'm going to go about book publishing.
Right.
It's I haven't figured that out yet. But we'll see. It's but I did feel at the time when I was writing this, I felt that this is going to be the last one because I don't think I have it in me to reload another time. Um, but now we'll see.
So your writing style is so enticing. I actually made some notes when I was reading the book. At one point, you say the artist is like a paper boat headed for a waterfall. In another part, you said Ted's yelling was about as effective as throwing marshmallows at a whale and thinking it will change direction. Your writing is so uh, unique and just good. I mean, have you always been this just a really great writer for since you were young?
Well, I mean, no, because I'm not that. Um, I'm gonna say something now. It's gonna sound humble, and it's really not because everyone who knows me will tell you that my ego is as big as anyone else's. But I'm not good at writing. That's not my talent. I'm good at storytelling. I'm
Right,
good at telling a story. Uh, if I was only good at writing, then it wouldn't work in translation because I still write in Swedish and then we translate it to English. And then I made for this book, I made all the edits in English with my editor, Peter Borland at Atria in the US. And then I backwards engineer everything back to the Swedish version, which is an incredibly stupid way to work, but it's the only way I can work because I'm not, but it wouldn't work in translation if it was only the language. If you have too complicated of a language, then if your writing is too complicated, it's incredibly hard to translate.
right,
But the reason why it does work in translation is because I tell stories. My single focus is that I don't ever want it to feel like I'm reading it from a stage. I don't even ever want to feel like I don't ever want you to admire the language. Honestly, I want to have done the work and worked hard enough at every sentence, at every word, at every wording, always trying to choose the simplest way forward, always trying to choose because I don't want complicated words. I don't want to exclude the reader. I want the reader to feel included. And then I want it to feel like for you, like we're sitting in an airport. our flight is delayed, and I'm saying, you want to hear a story? And you go like, yeah, all right. And I tell you a story, and it's just for you. It's not for a million people. It's just a story, stupid story that I'm telling you. And
Right.
I try to tell it like I would tell you a story, and that's where the throwing a marshmallow at a whale comes from, because that's the way that I would tell a story to a friend. That's the way that I would tell a story to my kids. Like that's you describe something and you try to describe it the funniest way possible. You try to like if I tell my kids a story, I try to make them laugh.
Yeah.
Um, if I tell my wife a story, I want her to. I want to keep her from rolling her eyes and taking up her phone and start checking her email. I want to keep her engaged in the story. Like I have this thing that I want to tell you, and I want her to feel like that. I want her to be like, all right, I want to know where this is going. So that's where it comes from. It's that way of writing. I think it's just because I'm trying to make this story as entertaining as I can, and I'm trying to give you all the pictures in your head.
Right.
Um, so that's where it comes from. I can't do that. Like some writers are exceptional in a way that they can write 600 pages without a single joke
Mm.
and without once trying really hard to keep you engaged, because they're so good that you're just going to stay anyway.
Hmm.
They're great writers. They have the great language. They're the geniuses. We have a handful in each generation.
Right.
um, I'm not one of them. I'm a storyteller. I tell stories, and I when I tell stories, I give 100%, because that's what I feel like you did. That's the only way that I'm going to keep you engaged. So it's that. Also, that I grew up with English literature. I grew up with Douglas Adams and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and stuff
Right.
like that. So I think a lot of the jokes, a lot of the throwing a marshmallow at a whale,
Yeah.
that's very much from me growing up with Douglas Adams. That kind of humor, that kind of always trying to find the funny, trying to find the stupid angle, trying to find. Someone said to me at some point that good humor it's stupid but smart,
Yes.
and that's always the goal.
So obviously you've always liked telling stories, but you mentioned that you don't like the traveling, the interviews, the press, all that stuff. Was that what you felt at the very beginning when you started out and with your books, or is that something that as you became more famous and popular that it's driving you more crazy now than it did
No,
when
no, no.
you
I've always been like this.
always?
Yeah, I've always been like this. I've always been this annoying. It didn't change. Like my best friend said I have one of my best friends came on tour with me, because usually my wife travels with me, but she couldn't come because the kids were still in school. So when I was in the US in May, one of my best friends flew over and he traveled with me, and we've known each other for 30 plus years.
Right.
And so someone said something, and I didn't register what they said because I was in my own head. And he turned around and he said, he seems arrogant, but I can tell you that fame didn't change him. He's always been this much of a jerk. And he was always this much of a jerk. He's always been this arrogant. He did it. Fame didn't change him at all. We would hope that it changed him for the better, but it didn't. It's no, I live in my own. I live in my head a lot. I There's a lot of this going on in my house. Like
Yeah.
dad,
Yeah.
focus here, car now. There's a lot of that. I live in my head. I don't. I've never enjoyed reality very much. And I like to travel with my wife and kids.
Yeah.
I do fairly well when I travel with them, but traveling alone, that I just don't.
You
I
don't
don't do well. I don't do well with in new environments. I don't do well with shifting environments all the time. It takes me a long time to process something, um, and to kind of land in a situation. So it's just that many issues, like my daughter would tell you.
So I'm guessing you don't like to do book signings where people are lined up down the street and you're
No, but
having.
it's. I mean, the book signings are fantastic because you get to meet people who actually like what you do for a living and respond to it, and it's often very nice, and it means the world to me that people read my books, and it means. I mean, it's still weird that people on the other side of the world
Yeah,
would respond to something that I've done, but it's not. Um, it will never feel like a normal thing to me. It's always as overwhelming as it was the first time.
first time.
And it would be like, it's a fantastic situation, and but maybe, once in a while I feel like this would be fantastic if there were 20 people, because then I would have time to talk to each and every one. But I think the signings, I've learned to be okay with them, I think. But it's still, I mean, I don't know how to explain the kind of anxiety thing at work here, but I'm the kind of person who takes, I have an important phone call to make. That's 3 days of anxiety, like
Oh, yeah,
working up to the phone call. I need to go to the post office. That's 2 days of like, gotta go to the post office. It's a lot of working up to do like things in real life. Um,
yeah,
it's just I hate meetings.
right.
The whole um,
Sitting in a boardroom around a big table and
I get like, if me and my wife, if we're at a restaurant and my wife goes, all the people at the next table, they're at a date, then I get such a secondary panic attack on behalf of them, for
right,
how much stress that must be, that you're like, you met each other online and now you have to see each other in real life. Like, I get so much stress, I get so stressed out by that I don't know how people do it.
yeah,
I've had the same friends for 30 years. I've been married for 16. I
that's
don't
very
bring
good.
new people in. It's I have like 7 people in total.
You've got your people. Yeah, you don't need
Yeah, I
people.
have I have 7 people in total, and I'm good.
Well, let me ask you a fun question from one of our book club members. She asks, will you ever write a book about the adventures of Donkey, your mischievous German shepherd that you post the most hilarious things about on Instagram?
I don't know. I mean, people keep asking me like, why don't you write a book about her? I'm like, I have written so much about this dog on Instagram. I This is the number one content I have on Instagram. I write about her all of the time. I feel like when you go to a relative's house and the first thing they do is they point out that, oh, you never visit. I'm like, I'm here now. I
Right.
can't be more here than here.
Yeah.
Like, every time I write about her, someone says you should write a book about it. But I'm writing about her right now.
Right. Right. Right.
This is it.
Yep. Yep.
It's I can't write about her more than I'm writing right now. We're right here. We're in the moment.
I guess
So
you have a lot of
I
fans.
don't think it's gonna be a book. I think she's good Instagram content. She's on the floor right now sleeping. She is the best dog and the absolute worst dog.
Oh, okay. How does that work? But all right. Somebody else wants to know, any chance you will revisit the characters in your Beartown books? I find myself wondering how those characters are doing all the time.
Now, I gotten that question a lot. I think the only way that I'm, the only way that I could see to make that interesting would be to write about Alicia. That we leave at the end of the third book. We leave Alicia, and she's 7, 8 years old, and maybe come back when she's grown up. So that would be 10, 15 years from the last book. So the only way to do that in a way that's interesting is to wait like 10 years. But I don't know. I'm not gonna say I'm never gonna do it because I might have an idea. I
Yeah.
wasn't planning on writing, like I wrote two books in that series, and then I felt I didn't have any ideas for a third one. So for the longest time, I felt that I wasn't going to write a third one because I never said that it was going to be a trilogy. I never said. Um, so I felt maybe I won't write a third one, and then all of a sudden I had an idea that I could write it from this perspective. I could do it could be about this, and then it grew from there. But I don't know. Right now, no, but in the future, maybe. I don't
Maybe.
know.
So I just have about 3 more questions really quick.
Sure.
One is, from another book club member. How are you so able to get into the mindsets of teens and young adults? Um, Teens are at the mercy of their parents and other adults. Like, how do you zone in on the mindsets of teens as well as you do?
Well, first of all, I accept the fact that I can't. Um, Second of all, it's like anything. I make the basic assumption that they're humans too,
Right.
that they have the same, that they're basically the same as I am. You know, they have dreams and hopes and fears, and they fall in love, and they fall out of love, and they want to be loved, and they search for themselves, and they search for who they are in the eyes of others, and all of that. And I think the way in this story I wrote it, in this story, the challenge was that I had a group of teenagers who grew up 25 years ago.
Mhm.
I knew them because I grew up with kids like them, so I knew them. But
Right.
then there was this 18-year-old now in present time, Louisa,
Mhm.
and I didn't quite have her. I struggled a lot with her
Okay.
to find her because it's what I look for is a rhythm. Like people have a rhythm.
Mhm.
People have a rhythm in their way of speaking and their way of making jokes, and in their. And I was looking for a rhythm for her. And if you read the book, you find pretty fast that she has a very distinct rhythm. She's
Mm.
really like everything. She's 300 kilometers an hour into
Yeah.
everything. She's like really, which worked really well because I felt this is going to be. She has to have that energy to bounce off Ted, who is the opposite, who is this highly neurotic man in his 40s, not based on anyone in particular, but there are certain things that of his neurotic behavior and hate to travel and all of that comes
Yeah.
from me.
Okay.
But I but I was looking for like how am I going to write her because I don't know what it's like to be a teenager now. I have no idea. But I felt that she would behave a little younger than 18
Mhm.
because she struggles because she's fighting for the right to be a kid. She's trying to, you know, fight to have a childhood. And and I happen to have a 12-year-old daughter.
Mhm.
She and her friends, 12-year-olds now, they're a little older than 12-year-olds.
Right.
So I felt, well, maybe I could find something in between the way they speak and the way that Louisa would speak. Maybe I could find something, you know,
In between.
in between. And I have the exact moment where I felt that, all right, I think I know how this particular teenager will talk. I think I have that now because my daughter, 12 years old, I happen to see online on TikTok or whatever it is that you see things that they were talking about skinny jeans,
Yeah.
and it was a whole thing. And when I grew up, skinny jeans were they were skinny jeans. They were jeans that you had to, like, you could wear them once and then you would cut your way out of them.
Right.
Uh, and then I saw a picture of something, and someone said, some teenager said, "Oh, these are skinny jeans," and I'm like, "Those are just pants. Those are
They're not
normal pants. Those are not skinny jeans. What is going on?" And I made the terrible, terrible mistake of asking my daughter about it. And I said, like, I pointed to my own pants and I said, "Are these skinny jeans?" And my daughter looked the way she does. She gives her mother a look and points at me like, "Why is it speaking?" And my wife, God bless her, leaned in and said, like, she was trying to help. So my wife leaned in and said, "I think Dad just wants to know if when you go out with him, are you embarrassed by the way he dresses?" And I
Yeah.
was like, "That's not at all what I asked. I wasn't even close to what I asked. I
Right.
just wanted to know about what is like the category for skinny jeans. I just want to know. These are
Yeah.
things that I'm
I
interested in."
understand it. Yeah.
And my daughter, she turned around to my wife and she said, "Well, I'm embarrassed about other things if he like wants a list." And I was pretty, you're pretty mortified, you're pretty broken down. You walk away there with your self-esteem
Yeah.
at the bottom of a dark hole, and I felt that that's her. That's the way she speaks. That's the way she views the world. That kind of, and I figured out through that, and that would be the answer to the question that I think the hard thing about trying to write teenagers is you as a writer, you fall into this trap of trying to imagining the way that teenagers speak to each other,
Right.
which is impossible. And the only thing that's going to happen is if you try to imitate that, you're going to sound you're going to sound 900 years old, as my daughter would put it.
Yeah.
But that's rarely what I needed to write, because I needed to write this 18-year-old, but for most of the book she is interacting with this 40-year-old man. So I don't have to know how she speaks to other 18-year-olds. I need to know how she speaks to an erotic man in his 40s.
Right.
And that I had. So I was like, well, this is, I have this now.
Yeah.
So now I'm just waiting for my daughter to figure this out so that she will start claiming royalties or something. But that was the way that I did it. I don't ever try to write, "Oh, I'm going to write a teenager now," because it doesn't work. You have to assume that they're people, and then you have to find something very specific about the way that they speak, and then try to find a rhythm. Um,
Yeah.
that's how I like leaned into it.
I saw you interviewed, I looked at some interviews with you last night, and somebody asked you about how you bond with your kids, and you were talking about how you watch sitcoms with them sometimes or different TV shows. So just selfishly, I just wondered if there's anything you could share that you guys have all watched together that everybody really loved that maybe we would know about here in the States.
Oh, we've watched, like, sitcom wise. We've watched as a family. Like my kids are 12 and 15. Um, they've watched. We watched Big Bang Theory together.
Right.
They're watching Friends now with my wife, and I jump in and out when I can. But we watched Seinfeld. We watched all of the sitcoms that my wife and I kind of grew up with.
Yeah.
A lot of them still works. How I Met Your Mother still works.
Right.
Um, so we do a lot of that. We've watched a lot of superhero movies.
Mm.
I think my wife has watched every Marvel movie chronologically with my kids. Uh, we go to the movies a lot,
Good.
like a lot, and that's usually what I said. This is how we get to know each other, because my wife and I are insanely different people. She actually likes the world and reality and likes people and likes having fun.
Yeah.
And I'm me. So, but this is how we get to know each other. We watch things and we go to the cinema and we experience culture. We go to museums and we
Yeah.
we take in experiences and then we argue about the experience a lot, like a lot.
Right.
We argue about movies all of the time. And but that's how we get to know each other, and that's how we got to know our kids. That's how we still get to know our kids. It's by going to the cinema, watching movies, watching TV shows.
Yeah.
We were in London this summer, and we watched Hamilton, the
Yes.
musical,
Hmm.
and which is such a fantastic thing to do. Which because I think when I grew up, I thought I don't think that if I would have been asked, would have been able to bet on the fact that, oh, in when you one day when you have kids 20 years from now, musical theater is going to be a really, really cool thing for them.
Yeah.
Like you will have like 12, 13, 14-year olds, they're going to be obsessed with musical theater. You didn't see that. You thought, no, it's all going to be virtual reality and it's all this. And it was fantastic to go there. They were blown away, and we were talking about it for days. We drove to Spain this summer, and one of the kids listened to the Hamilton soundtrack the entire way. And to me, it's the same thing with the kids now, and the amount of young people who are filling TikTok with book recommendations and
Yeah.
talking about books, and the amount of teenagers that are on Goodreads talking about books. It's a phenomenal thing that I think we should be eternally grateful for, because all we do as our generation is all we do is all the kids, they are just they just want to be on their iPads, they just want to be on their computers, they never. I'm like, they love Hamilton.
Yeah.
There were a lot of teenagers in that audience, like a lot, and they were insanely engaged in this.
Right.
Like they knew way more than whoever adult that they had to bring with them
Yeah.
because they needed a ride. It's like they're into musical theater, which I would say is the absolute opposite to
Staring at your iPhone or yeah.
staring at your iPhone. It has to be the exact opposite to that. And they don't read books on, like, both of my kids read a lot of books. Their friends read a lot of books. They never read their books on a screen. They always want the physical copy.
Yeah.
They don't have Kindle. They
Yeah.
they want the physical copy. So I think and it's been that kind of thing is, I think, a huge part of me still finding things to write about. Is there's a lot of that comes from hanging out with my kids and seeing them getting excited about things.
Yep.
Which is kind of my favorite thing, to see
Yeah.
my wife and kids when they get excited about something. That's very much what the book is about. That's how I find my way into talking about art in the book, which is one of these things that people keep asking me about. I don't know anything about art. I didn't grow up connected to art. It's not my thing. I never understood it. I never went to I had no one to bring me to museums. I was never introduced to it in that way. But my wife loves art, and when I was trying to find my way into the perspective of how can I talk about art in the book without coming off as a fraud, because I don't know enough about art. I'm interested in it now. I love it now, but I don't know enough about it to write a book about it.
Right.
And if you read the book now, you'll see that I didn't do that. I didn't write it from the perspective of the person who painted the painting. I didn't write it from the perspective of the person who looks at the painting and understands the painting.
Yeah.
I wrote it from the perspective of someone looking at the painting.
Hmm.
And that's me looking at my wife. That's me looking at my kids. I'm looking at them while they're having a cultural experience.
Right.
That's how the entire book is written like that.
Yeah, I get that. I have 3 20-somethings, and I love seeing them excited about things just like you. So,
It's
um,
it's the
very
absolute
better.
best
Yeah,
when when they fall in love with something, when they get obsessed with something. That's my favorite thing.
right.
They get a little too interested in something. That's my favorite thing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Again, the book is My Friends. I think everybody watching has read this, but we're so honored and thrilled that you joined us tonight. Those folks in the book club, please stay online because I'm going to be posting some conversation starters so that you can talk amongst yourselves about the book. And just a reminder that next month in October, our book is The River is Waiting by Wally
Oh, I
Lamb.
just read that. I read that this summer.
Did you read it this summer?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
read it this summer.
I just finished
Very,
it
very
too.
good.
Yeah, he'll be
It's
joining us the 3rd Tuesday of October. Yeah, it's a great book.
it's a terrific book.
Yeah,
It's really it's quite something.
yeah, it's good. So both these, so My
I
Friends,
almost gave a spoiler. Just
don't say anything. Yeah.
I had
So
to stop myself.
thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us.
so
Thanks
much.
everybody, and have a great evening.
Yeah.
And I'll see you next month. Thanks.
Thanks so much for having me.